Yep. Wait. One more, y'all. We'll get started here. Ow, that's my hand. Ugh. He's tickled to death here of us all being here. You can see everybody this way. See how he reacts. Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Roger Paul, and tonight, don't chew on my knee. Tonight, we're going to continue our study on paper 45. We're on on page 45 or 501 on the original book, and it's paper 45 1.2. This is where we stopped last time, and the reason I'm going to start here, let me go back up one slide. The reason I'm going to start here is this is the 7 satellites that surround Jerusalem, and if you know where, as I read through this, I'm going to read through this slide and let y'all look at the picture tonight. So let's change it to that, and I'm going to read through the slide, and you can kind of get an idea from this picture. If you go up to this corner, that's what this big circle is, Jerusalem. Okay. And these are the 7 worlds that surround Jerusalem, these big ones. Okay. And the little bitty ones here are the mansion worlds. Well, why am I talking about this? I can just go back and show y'all. Y'all will remember this slide. Remember this one? There's Jerusalem, and there's the 7 transition worlds, and each one of the transition worlds, culture worlds, has 7 satellites around them, right? Remember that from the first one? And they're already starting to call me. I guess I'm on Facebook. I could probably, I think that would be a good thing to do. I'm going to shut down my Facebook. Is anybody got Facebook handy?
I do.
Okay, I'm going to shut this window down.
It says live, but nothing's happening on it, Roger.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. It's at least recording it. That's what I want. I just don't want people to keep disturbing us all night during the meeting. Let's see how it goes so far. And all y'all out on Facebook, I'm getting hundreds and hundreds of friend requests, and I accept them all, so that people can watch the videos, but I can't respond to every single person that chats with me or tries to call me. I've been getting calls at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning from hundreds of people.
Popular.
Yeah. So please don't call me. I can't answer the phone that much. And please don't try to chat me during the meetings, because it interrupts our meeting. Okay. And if it keeps that bad, I'll close the window and we'll see if it records it to it or not. Okay, so this is where we were last week. I'm going to keep going down here. We're going to go from there. Here we go. Transition culture worlds. This is world number 1. Okay, so I'm going to read through this first slide again, and then we'll start our regular reading. Okay. World number 1, the finality world. This is the headquarter worlds of the finality core of the local universe, is surrounded by the receiving worlds of the 7 mansion worlds. So that's what's on this picture. It's dedicated so fully to the scheme of mortal ascension, the finality world is accessible to all inhabitants of all 7 mansion worlds. Transport seraphim carry ascending personalities back and forth on these pilgrimages, which are designed to cultivate their faith in the ultimate destiny of transition mortals. So they try to build you up, getting ready for the ascension plan. Although the finaliters and their structures are not ordinarily perceptible to Urantia vision, you will be more than thrilled from time to time when the energy transformers and the Urantia power supervisors enable you to momentarily to glimpse these high spirit personalities who has actually completed the paradise ascension and who have returned to the very worlds where you are beginning this long journey, as the pledge of assurance that
Didn't we read that last week?
We did. That's what I just said.
Hmm.
We read this last week, right?
Well,
That's where we
congratulations.
ended.
I caught up with you.
You caught up. I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that these 7 items are the 7 satellite worlds or the transition worlds. These are not the mansion worlds now. Okay. These are the different satellites that surround Jerusalem. I want to make sure y'all are clear on that. We got a whole paper on the 7 mansion worlds. Okay. And we're going to hit that in a couple times. All right. So here we go. We're in world number 2. And sweetie, would you take the first one for me, please?
Number 2, the Urantia world. This planet is the headquarters of the supervisors of Urantia life and is surrounded by the 7 spheres whereon the Urantia chiefs train their associates and helpers, both Urantia beings and ascending mortals.
Okay, so the satellite number 2 is where they train everyone, both the Urantia beings and the ascending mortals, to prepare them to teach ascenders as they come up. Okay, so this is where they actually teach people to get them ready to teach other people. So unlike what you probably think when you get to the mansion worlds and you don't think you know anything, once you have a couple of these Urantia trainers, which are usually cherubim and Melchizedeks. Okay, once they train you, you'll be ready to go out and teach just like everybody does, right? Just like I do, only better, right? All right, so that's number 2, world number 2. All right, here we go. Next paragraph. And Rodney, would you take this one?
I like that, Urantia chiefs.
The Urantia chiefs, the head kahunas of the Urantia corps, right?
Headdresses.
Yeah, that's right. They probably have feathers in their head or something. I don't know. Who knows?
In passing through the 7 mansion worlds, you will also progress through these cultural and social spheres of increasing Urantia contact. When you advance from the first to the 2nd mansion world, you will become eligible for a visitor's permit to transitional headquarters number 2, the Urantia world, and so on. And when present on any one of these 6 cultural spheres, you may, on invitation, become a visitor and observer on any of the 7 surrounding worlds of associated group activities.
Okay, so all 7 of the transition satellites that surround Jerusalem. Okay, there's 7 of them. So when you go from mansion world number 1 to mansion world number 2, you become eligible to go to transition world number 2. Okay. So with each mansion world, as you go higher and higher, you're allowed to go to the transition world associated with that particular world. So mansion world number 2, you'd go to transition world number 2. And when you get there, you can get a visitor's pass to go to any of the satellites that surround that transition world. Now, let me explain something to you. You may not actually work or have a duty on these worlds, but you will be allowed to go as a visitor, okay? And to observe, because each one of these worlds has a specific purpose. And what they're going to allow you to do is you'll go visit them and watch as these beings do their jobs and are being trained. Okay, so it's like a little mini vacation for all 7 mansion worlds. You know, we talked last time a little bit about going to world number 7, the Father's world, where the prison worlds are. Remember that? Okay, so that would be an example. But to get to that world, what do you have to be on in the mansion worlds?
The 7th.
The 7th mansion world. That's right, because you won't get a pass to go to that world until you've reached the 7th mansion world. Make sense? So
Hey, now,
it's kind of,
when do we get a pass to go to Jerusalem? The big
you'll
boy?
get you'll occasionally get a pass to go to Jerusalem from the first all the way through the seventh mansion world.
Okay, cool.
Okay, because they want you to get an idea of what Jerusalem citizenship is very early. Okay, but you would be getting a visitor pass. You'd probably have to be accompanied by some type of angel to make sure that you kind of know
You don't
what to
get-
do. Don't get out of line, right?
Right.
Let's go get drunk on this, in Jerusalem. Yeah, that's not going to happen, right? All right.
That's because they close the bars early, don't they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they do. Very, very early. Okay, Gary, would you take the next one, please?
Number 3, the angelic world. This is the headquarters of all the seraphic hosts engaged in system activities and is surrounded by the 7 worlds of angelic training and instructions. These are seraphic social spheres.
Okay, so you can see when you get to world number 3, this is the angelic world. So you would be there as a visitor, right? Because you're not an angel. That's clear to everybody, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you'd just be a visitor, and the worlds that surround that angelic world, it's the same thing. You'd be able to go and observe, but you wouldn't be able to do a lot of interaction or do jobs and stuff like that, because these are the worlds for the angels. Okay. So that's the world number 3. Number 4, super angels. Since they're super angels, do you think they have capes and a big ass on their chest?
Probably.
Superman. All right, super
I
angels.
like to see if they
Jane.
have a lightsaber.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to need a lightsaber if they're super angels. All right, Jane, would you take the next one?
Number 4, the super angel world. This sphere is the Satania home of the brilliant evening stars and the vast concourse of coordinate and near coordinate beings. The 7 satellites of this world are assigned to the 7 major groups of these unnamed celestial beings.
Okay, so remember, there's a lot of unnamed beings that they don't tell us about, right? They don't have anything to do with our ascension plan, so they didn't take the time or the space in the book to explain a lot about them. But we know the brilliant evening stars are all directly under whom? Gabriel, right? The brilliant evening stars are the administration angels that Gabriel gives all the jobs for all the local universe. So think about it this way. If there is a satellite just for the super angel, a world just for that, and 6 satellites around that, think of it this way. For all 100,000 local universes, there's one of these worlds for each, systems. Help me out here, Rodney. Am I getting this messed up in my head?
Yeah, you're
Systems?
getting messed up. It'd be
Yeah. Systems, right?
Yeah. It's our system.
Systems, 100,000 systems. So there would be one of these worlds for every single system. Make sense? And they'd all be populated by what? Evening stars, right? Make sense? So
So
that's
Roger,
a-
I have a question.
Yeah.
Maybe I asked it before. The brilliant part, does that refer to their intelligence or because they're bright?
both.
Oh,
Yeah, because they would be brilliant because they're created perfectly, right? So, and they're just under Gabriel. We know Gabriel's probably, so smart. We're not even in the ballpark. Yeah.
come on.
So with these super angels, that's probably why they're called super angels, because they're familiar with not only the ascension plan, all the administration of the universe, but everything having to do with all the angels and all the other unrevealed beings of the local universe. So that would make them pretty super, I would think. But they are very bright. You know, if you stand in front of one of these, you wouldn't be able to probably look directly at it because it's so bright.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
so it works
Spirit-
both ways.
So
Spiritual.
when you pass on, you should be wearing a pair of super polarized sunglasses.
You may have super polarized lenses when you get there. You know?
Maybe.
All right. You never know. Tell you what, we got a lot of surprises coming, y'all. Beyond our imagination. Okay, Neil, would you take the next one, please? Number
Yep.
5.
Number 5, the world of the suns. This planet is the headquarters of the divine sons of all orders, including the creature trinitized suns. The surrounding 7 worlds are devoted to certain individual groupings of these divinely related suns.
Okay, so any son of God that's already a son of God, these are both trinitized sons and sons of God completely created as they are. Okay, and this would be the world probably that they would consider the Adams and Eves could go to, because the sons of God start out as local universe sons of God, right? And they're created as that. So the sons of God, any divinely created order of the sons of God, these are normally not sons that, like us, have fused with their adjusters. You see the difference? These sons are created without the need of adjusters. So these are the most of the sons there, but they also include creature trinitized sons, and that's our order. Okay, so but we have to have an adjuster. So the creature trinitized sons are adjuster based sons of God that's fused with their thought adjuster and then trinitized as they went up through the program, right? So if you get with the program, you may be part of this group. All right. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Diane, would you take the next one, sweetie?
Number 6, the world of the spirit. This sphere serves as a system rendezvous of the high personalities of the infinite spirit. Its 7 surrounding satellites are assigned to individual groups of these diverse orders. But on transition world number 6, there is no representation of the spirit. Neither is such a presence to be observed on the system capitals. The divine minister of Salvington is everywhere in Nebadon.
So you see why when you get to the world of the spirit, these are beings that are representation of the infinite spirit, but you will not see our local universe creator mother spirit. And why is that? Because she has to be everywhere, right? At the same time. So the creative mother spirit permeates the entire local universe of Nebadon. So you shouldn't expect to see a representation or a personality of her in one place. Makes sense? But there's lots of other personalities created by the infinite spirit that would use these spheres, and we will be able to go and observe them on this world of the spirit. Makes sense? All right. So let's spirit ourselves to the next slide.
It's interesting. It's like our pre-training so that we can, so that eventually we can acknowledge the Father in paradise.
That's true. That's
That's-
true. It's part of that recognition program, right? Right.
Right.
Rodney, when you,
Roger?
yes. Yeah.
I'm thinking, remember when we studied all the lists of, I don't remember the proper names, but of days?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. The orders of days. Yeah.
Yeah,
Those are all sons of God, or those are all Trinity created sons of God and daughters of God. Okay.
Would they be then in number 6?
Not
word-
not necessarily, because the order of days are the Trinity observers. Okay, so they wouldn't normally domicile on one of these 7 worlds.
They're not
They-
local universe related.
Well, they are local universe related only by being assigned here, and those types of beings would probably only be found living on Salvington. Right?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, on Salvington for the faithful day, each day would be on a different level. So one would be on Salvington, the next one up from that would be on the Constellation headquarters. Well, actually, the Constellation headquarters would be the faithful, and then on Salvington would be the Union of Days, and then on the super universe would be another order of days. So, like the Ancients of Days. So each order of days would be on the capitals of those areas they're assigned to, but you would normally find them on like the 7 mansion worlds unless they went there to observe or visit something to report back to the Trinity. Okay,
Thank you.
they're on a different level than this. So okay, let's see here. Rodney, I think you're up.
Okay. Number 7, the world of the Father. This is the silent sphere of the system. No group of beings is domiciled on it. The great temple of light occupies a central place, but no one can be discerned therein. All beings of all the system worlds are welcomed as worshipers.
Okay, so can y'all hear me all right tonight? I forgot to check my
Yeah,
sound.
hear you.
Yeah, sound great.
Okay.
Clear? Good.
The world of the Father is a place for worshiping the Father. Make sense? So beings don't actually live there. There's a temple there. You could go and worship on the world of the Father. And remember, we're going to talk about it in just a second here. Let me go on to the next slide. This one is only for worship, right? Y'all give me a second here. People. Okay. And this is the next one I wanted to mention, the next paragraph before we get off the world of the Father. And Gary, you're on this one. 7 satellites.
The 7 satellites surrounding the Father's world are variously utilized in the different systems. In Satania, they are now used as the detention spheres for the intern groups of the Lucifer Rebellion. The constellation capital Adenia
Adentia.
has no
Analogies.
Thank you. Has no, whatever you said, presence worlds. The few seraphim and cherubim who went over to the rebels in the Satania Rebellion have been long since confined on these isolated worlds of Jerusalem.
Okay, so think about it this way. There's 7 different worlds that surround the Father's world, right? So it logically makes sense that on each world, they retain a different group of beings. Okay.
Correct.
So like world number 1 may be Lucifer and all his staff, that sort of thing. World number 2 may be just seraphim. World number 3 may be just cherubim. The next world may be just Sanibam. And then on world number 4, yeah. So each level probably has its own prison world, and more than likely the prisoners, the keepers of those worlds are the archangels, more than likely. Okay.
Oh,
For each one. So each type of world would have a different type of being they take care of, right?
Hmm. Gary's got a question.
Go ahead, Gary.
Are these prisons or the jails? And the reason, let me explain where I'm coming from. Jail is a temporary holding facility. A prison is a long-term. For
Well-
instance, jail is for until you get tried. And then
Mhm.
if you're sentenced to anything more than 6 months, you go on to, or 90 days, you go on to a prison.
Well,
Okay,
I would,
so if these
I-
worlds are, what I'm saying is these worlds are jail worlds, they're waiting to be judged. And if they're judged guilty, aren't they terminated?
yeah, if they're judged guilty, the termination is, I think, immediate. Okay,
Okay, then so it's
so
not prisons, they're jails.
no,
Or
I
anybody
would
put
say,
into prison for
I
a
would say it's
termination for
just,
punishment, huh?
yeah, I would say it's just the opposite, Gary. They're all prisons because they call them prison worlds. So, and the reason I would say they're all prisons is because the adjudication by the ancients of days of a rebellious being may take 1,000,000 years. Okay.
Sounds like it'd be a reformer camp.
Well, that's the thing too, is you have the opportunity even to reform while you're being held on the prison worlds. Okay. So because of the mercy of the Son, that's just the way it is. And so if you reform, they will put you on some kind of program to redeem you. Okay. But the problem is this. It's up to the ancients of days. Even if you ask for redemption, you still have to go before the ancients of days for judgment. Y'all catch that?
Yeah.
So even if you have rebelled, the ancients of days have to make a decision if you are sincere in your redemption, and if they forecast you to be stick with your rehabilitation program. Okay. Let me give you a good example of that from our planet. Okay. Adam and Eve. Okay. When Adam and Eve went into default, it was kicked up to the ancients of days, and they had to decide whether they were just in default or whether they rebelled against the universe. Okay. So even though they thought they just were in default, they still had to be adjudicated. Okay.
Right.
So since they were charged with default and not with rebellion, they were allowed to be rehabilitated. And guess what the rehabilitation was?
What?
They became human.
Oh, yeah.
So they had to go through the same program as we do from square one. So when they judged them in default, they immediately became human beings. They were no longer considered under the purview of the sons and daughters, the material sons and daughters of God any longer.
They were cut off from the circuit.
They were cut off from the circuit completely. So they had to go through death, just like we do. When they went to the mansion worlds, they had to go through all 7 mansion worlds, just like we do. And when Jesus was resurrected himself and appeared on the mansion worlds, he assigned them to the 24. What do you think he did
Right.
that? The 24 counselors, which we're going to talk about shortly. Why do you think Jesus would assign Adam and Eve to the 24
For
counselors?
more experience.
They're more experienced than any of us, right? So, and the fact that they defaulted, they not only were experienced in administration of a planet, but they were also experienced in the problem of default and rebellion, weren't they?
Yeah.
So it makes sense that he would want to use them as one of the 24 counselors because they gained experience and he wanted them to use that experience. Now, they may be stuck as one of the 24 counselor for eons and eons, okay? Because they have to prove their loyalty again to Jesus or to Michael and the universe. Make sense?
Mhm.
Oh,
So you think it's, well, why would he assign them to the 24? That's kind of a good thing. Well, it is a good thing, but it also puts them in their place. This is how serious this was. They would have spent hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of years on this planet as the administration of this planet, remember? As Adam and Eve's. So they're not going to get to kick up to the mansion worlds and go on a progression in any short period of time. That's just not going to happen. You know, when we get to the mansion worlds, they'll probably still be on the counselors. When we leave the mansion worlds and goes to the constellations, they'll probably still be in the as counselors, right?
Do we
All right.
know, like, when they became humans, did they have an awareness of what they were before they became human?
Yes, they
They
did.
remember? Huh.
They remembered. They remembered
Wow.
everything. Yeah.
Wow.
So even the fact that they both had to die a normal life like everyone else. So when Eve died before Adam, so Adam was alone on the planet
Yeah.
for a period of time because Eve had passed first. You follow me? So, you know, if you're married to someone on this planet, if your wife dies first, you still have to go through whatever, however many years you have left on the planet. So, and the same thing with us, you know, if I kill over tomorrow, my wife's still got to go on for how many years it takes her to pass, right? So, and the same thing with me. If she dies, I still have to go through however many years is left in my life, right? That's just the way the game is played. There's no shortcut. You know?
So I understand that we have a designated lifetime here
Yes.
for, okay. Okay, so no matter what we do, we're going to be around. We can either suffer or not, but we're,
Yeah.
you know. So when you was young and restless, you was gonna die.
Listen, we're all on the same pathway. We're all going to that transition, right? We're on that pathway. And what happens to us, both physically, mentally, socially, everything is happenstance. And, you know, you just have to live through it. Some of us will be healthy to the day we die and we're gone. Others of us has to suffer through physical maladies. And you just, you know, that's your lot in life. That's just the way it is. And unfortunately, there's nothing most of the time you can do about it. You can try to live a healthy life. You try to eat right, don't smoke, don't drink, and all that stuff.
Comes down.
Genes. And if you're wise, you'll try to put stuff in your body that's good for your body. You'll eat good food and that sort of thing. If you eat, you know, hamburgers every day for your whole life, you're going to end up suffering from cholesterol and heart disease and all that stuff. Right. So you get what you pay for in life. If you smoke your whole life, you're probably going to end up dying of lung disease or cancer, one of the two. Right. That's
okay, you can stop now.
the way it is.
I probably got about 36 seconds left in my life.
Yeah, but look what good 36 seconds you're going to have. You have good fellowship, good teachings, you know. Okay, let's go on. Don't forget who's up next. I think Jane's up, aren't you, Jane?
Yeah, okay. As a sojourner on the seventh mention world, you have access to the seventh transition world, the sphere of the Universal Father, and are also permitted to visit the Satania prison worlds surrounding this planet, whereon are now confined Lucifer and the majority of those personalities who followed him in rebellion against Michael. And this said spectacle has been observable during these recent ages and will continue to serve as a solemn warning to all Nebuchadnezzar until the Ancient of Days shall adjudicate the sin of Lucifer and his fallen associates who reject the salvation pro-offered by Michael, their universe father.
So they've had lots of opportunity to repent, and Michael's extended every courtesy to them, hasn't he? So
Very much so.
Yep. And this is a picture of the Jerusalem prison world #1 and the Father's world. And it shows here down here, the mansion world #7. And it shows that you'll get a pass to go to the Father's world and then to visit the prison world #1. Right. All right. And what it sounds like, what they tell us is all 7 of these worlds are used as prison worlds right now. Now, other local universes, the Father's world is not used for this. It's
Local
used for
systems, you mean?
local system. Yeah. Thanks, Rodney. Local systems are
Because
not used for
no
this. They had
Rebellion.
no rebellion. That's right. If you have no rebellion in your system, then there would be no reason to have these worlds. Make sense? Okay. The system sovereign. Let me go back up here. The system sovereign. How are we doing on that? We're good. Okay. Neil, would you take the next one, please?
The system sovereign. The chief executive of a local system of inhabited worlds is a primary Lananandak son, the system sovereign. In our local universe, these sovereigns are entrusted with large executive responsibilities, unusual personal prerogatives. Not all universes, even in Orvanton, are so organized as to permit the system sovereigns to exercise such unusually wide powers of personal discretion in the direction of system affairs. But in all the history of Nebadon, these untrammeled executives have exhibited disloyalty only 3 times. The Lucifer Rebellion in the system of Satania was the last and the most widespread of all.
Okay. So our system sovereign is going to tell us in a minute. We are really, really lucky we got the system sovereign we got because he had been involved in one of these other previous rebellions. Okay. So he is he's got lots of experience, but it tells us right here that the Lucifer Rebellion, out of all 3 of the rebellions in Nebadon, the Lucifer Rebellion is the worst and the most widespread. Okay. Diane.
So Jesus kind of messed up. He let 3 of us get away with hanky panky.
No, he didn't. Gary, I wouldn't say that he messed up. I would say that he gave his people he put in charge leeway to run their systems as they felt appropriate. Okay, for experience. And in doing that, you take a greater risk of rebellion in your system. Because if you had too much of a control over these leaders, then they would not have the leeway to be able to rebel, but they would not have the experience that Jesus wants or Michael wants these leaders to have, right? It's kind of funny because if you think of it this way, if there's no possibility of evil and you choosing evil, then how would you ever know what loyalty is about?
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Makes sense?
Yes.
You know,
You have
hard
to
to,
learn.
you have to learn it. If there's nothing to be loyal about, then how would you learn those skills? Right. And that is part of why this planet, even though it's in such a mess, when we leave here, we're considered very, very valuable beings because we came from one of the rebellious planets. We have experience facing evil and having to make the decision for good rather than evil, you know? So, okay. Rodney, would you take the next one, please?
Yes. In Satania, even after this disastrous upheaval, absolutely no changes have been made in the technique of system administration. The present system sovereign possesses all the power and exercises all the authority that were invested in his unworthy predecessor, except for certain matters now under the supervision of the constellation fathers, which the ancients of days have not yet fully restored to Lanaforge, the successor of Lucifer.
So not all the authority that a system sovereign normally would have has been restored, because the constellation fathers, the ones above them, have not gotten the word from the ancients of days that they are to release all power back to the system sovereign, right? And it'll probably stay that way until all adjudication has taken place. Okay.
So you were saying Lanaforge was involved in the first rebellion?
He was involved in one of the first two previous rebellions. I
One.
think it was I
Okay.
think it was the second one, but don't quote me on that. But he actually, the system sovereign of the other rebellion, the system sovereign rebelled, and Lanaforge immediately took the reins of that sovereign and managed it. So
Okay.
the rebellion was not as bad as it could have been. Okay. So that's why they chose him to come Jesus chose him to come to our system, because he already had experience in a previous system rebellion. So it's just like us when we get to the mansion worlds, because we've already had previous experience with rebellion. They may assign us to a planet that is getting ready to rebel, and we will be part of those beings that will help keep it from going into rebellion. Because why?
We're
We have
experienced.
that we have experienced in it. We can tell them what's going to happen if they do that.
Yeah,
So, been there, done that type thing, right? All
Kind
right.
of interesting too, what you were just saying about what Lanaforge did, how he stepped in on the previous rebellion and took the reins. That's also
Yeah.
one of the things that Michael did on one of his bestowals, like
That's yeah.
third bestowal or something like that.
That's
At a different
exactly
place.
right.
So
That's
we got a lot of
exactly.
experience in dealing with rebellion. Pretty cool.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. All right, let's go down to the next. Oh, I'm over here again. Okay. Let's see. Did you just read that one, Gary?
I
Nope.
just,
You just, okay, Gary, you get the next one then.
Okay, the present head of Satania is a gregarious and brilliant ruler.
gracious.
Gracious.
Gracious, okay.
Gracious.
You can have fun too. Okay. And he is a rebellion-tested sovereign. When serving as an assistant system sovereign, Lanaforge was faithful to Michael in an earlier upheaval in the universe of Nebadon. This mighty and brilliant lord of Satania is a tried and trusted administrator. At the times of the second system rebellion in Nebadon,
Sorry,
when the
hang on.
system
Y'all.
saw
1 second. Here we go. Hello. Sorry, y'all.
It's okay.
I lost
Gary
that was about.
disappeared. Should I finish
lost-
reading?
Yeah, did Gary drop out? We lose
Yeah.
him? Okay, yeah. Would you actually why don't you start from the beginning again?
Yeah. The
Okay.
present head
Sorry, y'all.
of
That was a
Satania,
doctor thing.
I understand, is a gracious and brilliant ruler, and he is a rebellion-tested sovereign. When serving as an assistant system sovereign, Lanaforge was faithful to Michael in an earlier upheaval in the universe of Nebadon. This mighty and brilliant lord of Satania is a tried and tested administrator. at the time of the second system rebellion in Nebadon, when the system sovereign stumbled and fell into darkness. Lanafors, the first assistant to the erring chief, seized the reins of government and so conducted the affairs of the system that comparatively few personalities were lost either on the headquarters worlds or on the inhabited planets of that unfortunate system. Lanafors bears the distinction of being the only primary non-deck son in all Nebadon who thus functioned loyally in the service of Michael and in the very presence of the default as his brother of superior authority and antecedent rank. Lanafors will probably not be removed from Jerusalem until all the results of the former folly have been overcome and the products of rebellion removed from Satania.
Okay, so Lana Forge took over when the primary system sovereign of that system defaulted. Okay, so he took over, got everything straightened out, and then after everything was straightened out over a period of time, they assigned a new system sovereign to him. So Lana Forge was freed to go on to come to our system and take over for us, right? And we got Gary back, so we'll let Gary read the next one.
He sounds
Huh?
Man,
sounds like a pretty cool guy.
Yeah. Mhm.
do you realize I planned that with my battery and everything dying on the
Oh,
right
yeah.
spot.
You
Yeah.
just didn't want you
Right.
just didn't want the long one, right?
Sorry about that. I forgot about that battery going to an end.
Gary, I sure do appreciate you letting me rag you sometime because I'm just having fun.
I
do
know.
love you.
I know. I enjoy having fun. You can obviously tell.
Yeah. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Gary, you want to take this one?
Yeah. Well, all the affairs of the isolated worlds of Satania have not been returned to his jurisdiction. Lana Forge discloses great interest in his welfare and their welfare, and he is a frequent visitor of Urantia. As in other and normal systems, the sovereign presides over the system council of world rulers. The planetary princes, and the resident governor general of the isolated worlds. This planetary council assembles from time to time on the headquarters of the system when the sons of God come together.
Okay, so Lana Forge has to go visit all 35 planets that went into rebellion, 36 planets went into rebellion. And so he comes and visits ours, probably frequently, because we know that the resident governor general of this planet is changed every 100 years. Okay, so one of the 24 sits as the resident governor general each 100 years. They have a 100-year reign, and then they change to another of the 24, and they never let us know who is the governor general during that 100 years, because they don't want people to start worshiping the governor generals. Okay, which is probably a good idea. You know how people are. All right, but they meet together when on the headquarters of the system when the sons of God meet, as councils, and that includes the planetary princes and the governor generals. Okay.
If he's a frequent visitor here, there's no way in the world we would even know if he was here.
No, there's not. It's kind of funny how much stuff goes on this planet in the background that we don't know, can't see, don't hear anything about, right? If we were back in the system where we could get the universe broadcast, we would probably know who the governor general was for that period of time, or at least get notified when, for instance, Lana Forge comes to the planet, so that we could all be on good behavior, you know?
Right.
Really.
You know, Roger, you've got me in thinking, don't you feel in the last 10, 15 years, things have changed spiritually?
Yes,
Yeah.
And
I do.
I don't mean it as an individual, I mean as a universe. Yeah,
Mhm.
what
Yeah,
the Urantia is I'm
yeah,
referring to. I really think in the last 15 years, although physically we don't show it, but
yeah.
it just, from my feeling or observations in the last 15 years, we've come, it seems like we got dumber, but more spiritual.
You know, you might be right, Gary, because you think about it, think how much of a mess the planet is in right now. And that's mostly due to politics, right? And
Mhm.
dishonest individuals. That's what's caused most of the mess. But on the same time, the spreading of the Urantia book is exponentially going on right now. If y'all, I was telling my wife this afternoon, I spent an hour and a half approving friends on Facebook, because guess how many friend requests? This is because of the videos. All right. I know I'm not that interesting of a guy. I can tell you that. All right.
I'm
It's,
not arguing.
you know, it's the videos. And so guess how many friend requests I got today?
3?
1,500.
650
Wow.
for one day, right?
Dang. That's
That's the
good.
most, that's the most I've ever gotten. And, you know, that's why I have to keep telling people, please don't chat with me and call me. That sort of, I can't possibly answer all the chats. If I sat here all day long, I still wouldn't be able to answer them all. That's just the way it is. But the point I'm trying to make is this: spirituality in some countries is exploding. I mean, beyond belief. Pakistan, I get so many people from Pakistan wanting to find out about the Urantia book. So many people from Africa, Uganda, a lot of the countries in Africa, constantly, because young people, mostly it's younger people. It's not old guys like us. Most
Right.
it's younger people that are curious about spiritual matters, that are searching or finding the book. And, you know, I got one request today, and when I approved the request, it was a minister, and he had 174 people under him that were my friends.
Wow.
174.
And his
You know?
congregation.
In his congregation. So, you know, and I keep hearing about this. I don't know how true it is, but I have had the ministers tell me they show our videos to their churches and classes and all sorts of things, because people are curious about spirituality.
The spiritual awakening.
Yeah.
It's spiritual awakening. So look at it this way: while all this horrible stuff is going on in politics and dishonesty and stealing and all this other stuff, on the opposite side, people are coming to God, right? And
Good.
that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah, because it creates a vacuum, all of that dishonesty.
Yeah.
People want truth.
Yeah, they do. And, and if you just worried about what's going on around you in the world, you'd be depressed all the time,
Mhm.
right?
Good.
Because it's just horrible. But when you see the other side of it and you see this going on, it gives you spiritual joy beyond
Mhm.
anything you can imagine, right? Some
You
days
know,
I
Roger,
wake up and it just makes me crazy. It's so good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Neil.
you need an assistant.
I've
Hmm.
got an assistant. It's called my wife.
Yeah, but she makes you do the dusting too.
No,
But
y'all just don't know all the things she does for me.
Good.
You really don't know.
Thanks.
I've gotten you know, in the last 3 or 4 weeks, I could barely walk. I mean, I can't get up and down stairs. I can't do much of anything. And all those chores that I was doing with the cat habitat and stuff, she's had to take it over, and she has not complained about it once. I guarantee you.
Well, you
But-
can, Diane, but what
And
I'm
listen-
saying though is, I was joking about Diane, but I was just, what I was trying to get a point at, I think, with all the internet.
I could use an assistant on the internet stuff. I really could.
Yeah,
I mean-
I'm, you know, I'm serious there.
Yeah. Yeah,
What are you-
I really could. It's all I can do to keep up with what we got going on. And that's one of the reasons I had to drop the Sunday meetings, because with that many meetings in a week, you know, y'all probably realize I spend hours sometimes preparing for these meetings. Reading, cross-studying stuff, looking at the old videos compared to what I want to say now. The videos we're making now is much more deep and extensive than the original ones. Some of the original ones, you know, I'd been reading the book for years, but I didn't know how to express it. You know what I'm saying? And now I have a better understanding because I'm older, so I have a better way of expressing it than I did when I first started making the videos, right? We all do. We all have grown, you know? I mean, everybody that's been coming to these for so many years, Diane knows, Rodney knows, you know, Millie that used to come to the meetings all the time, she know, you know, we all grow, and with that grow, we share that growth in the meetings, you know, and it makes a big difference. I know these meetings aren't about me. It never has been about me. It's about the book, right? And I've just learned how to share the book a little better as I've gotten older. And I hope I keep getting older for a while. Anyway, keep sharing the book. As long as I'm
You know, it's
useful.
amazing. You've read the book 45 times, etc. I don't
Yeah.
know how many times I've read it. It's, you know, it's maybe 2, 3, I don't know, you know.
Mhm.
But even I am, but exactly 45 times, and you're still growing and understanding. You
Yeah.
see how naive I am.
Well, we're all naive when we start out, you know. It's kind of funny. We were at a this place over at the mall once where we were sharing the Urantia book with this group. I don't even remember what the group was about. It was some kind of thing. But anyway, the lady in the booth next to me came over, started talking to me, and she goes, "You teach the Urantia book?" And I said, "Yes, we do." And this is back in like 2011.
Yeah.
And she said, "Well, I read the book." And I said, "Well, that's great." And I said, "You get a lot of it?" And she goes, "I didn't understand most of it, but I read it all." Yeah. So,
He
come
was an
talk to
honest
me.
individual.
Yeah, come talk to me when you've been about 10 times through it, and then we'll have something to talk about. So, okay, let's keep moving. I don't even remember who was supposed to read now.
I just read.
Okay, Diane, I think you're up.
Once a week, every 10 days on Jerusalem, the sovereign holds a conclave with someone group of the various orders of personalities domiciled on the headquarters world. These are the charmingly informal hours of Jerusalem, and they are never to be forgotten occasions. On Jerusalem, there exists the utmost fraternity between all the various orders of beings, and between each of these groups and the system sovereign.
So when we get there, we'll be able to hobnob with the system sovereigns and the assistant sovereigns and all these other beings that are running the worlds, right? So something for us to look forward to. And unfortunately, we are out of time. I just look down and it's that way. Just goes by, doesn't it? So fast. Okay, y'all, let's say a little prayer and we will close for tonight. Let me stop the share here, so everybody can be seen. All right. Lordy have mercy. Diane, would you close and pray with me?
Father, Mother God, in the quiet of these moments, we come to you in gratitude for this wonderful book you've given to us to learn and to experience a depth that we could never have understood without it. We know that it's only gain, and we're so grateful that we have the opportunity to study and learn about everything about, just part really of everything that we are to experience in preparation for our transition. We ask that you be with us continuously and that we be of one spirit in love and kindness and support to each other and for each other. And it is in your name, Jesus Christ, Michael, Nevedon, we pray, give thanks, and we're so incredibly grateful. Amen.
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 And thank you at home for joining us. Let me stop the Facebook first. See y'all next time.